Right. I know I'm late, but life got in the way, and I want to talk about Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. And given it came out a couple of weeks ago, yes, we are gonna go all in with spoilers. So if you don't want to get into all of that discussion, just tap out right now. I've got you in that armbar, and you're about to feel the pain. Right, ready, good? And yes, I'll mention it now because nobody watches to the end. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Simon316. If you like my content and want to throw $1 my way, thank you. If you want to call me a bald asshole, in the comments. Now, before we begin, I do want to say I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I'm a very simple human, and all I really need is the Star Wars aesthetic and the music, and I'm having fun. And that was all here, it was the same here, and if nothing else, seeing what direction Disney and Lucas want to take these characters, well, that is interesting to me. It doesn't always have to be necessarily the narrative that I would want to see. There's something fascinating in seeing what others do with it, and it's why, like take Mass Effect for example. The Mass Effect 3 controversy was lost on me. I mean, did I expect some ghost kid to tell Commander Shepard what to do? No. But did I go and rage on the internet afterwards? Also, no. That is the fun of the creative process. So I thought it was an entertaining couple of hours, but I will admit that out of the 3 recent films, this was the one that confused me the most because it felt more like episode 7 than episode 8, which I get is what a lot of fans wanted, but I kind of feel like we now have 3 new episodes in the Star Wars franchise, 2 of which are faux remakes to appease the community at large. I mean, within the first chunk of episode 9, we find out about Palpatine, for example, but at no stage are we told how he has magically come back to life or how he was pulling all the strings. I mean, take Snoke. The Emperor was behind his rubbish reign of terror that lasted about 1 minute, but as to how that happened, well, I've watched the whole thing and I still don't know. So just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Eat your popcorn, drink your drink, and forget. And this is true for the crazy amount of info that is thrown your way during the intro as well. I mean, we learn about our old enemy. The Luke Skywalker was looking for some map, which I don't remember even hearing about in The Last Jedi. Kylo Ren is then seeking out some Sith planet of Exegol, which has barely come up at this point. And of course, Palpatine has approximately 54,678 ships that have come from the ground. I mean, where did they come from? Oh, they're just there now. Again, this is all fine, it really is, but to believe in a threat, there has to be a real sense of dread. And having some spacecrafts just pop up doesn't really give you a chance to be fearful of what they can do. It's like easy come, easy go, which is what happens at the end of the movie too, because they get dispatched in around about a few minutes after remaining stationary for the whole thing. Why didn't they just roll out and blow the shib out of everything they wanted? I mean, it took them a year to blow up a single planet, and even then it was Kijimi, which was already shown at that point to be some kind of crime-ridden crap town. Go blow up Tatooine or something. And without wanting to go through it bit by bit, it is really what a lot of critics have already said, a movie that feels like it's been made for those who hated episode 8. And this is where the comments will go nuts, because yeah, I actually thought that was the most interesting of the 3. Luke comes across as a more well-rounded than just, oh, I'm a hero, listen to me roar. And Rise of the Skywalker basically ignores all of that, like a child who's been labelled as the black sheep of the family, even though all that child did was be born. It just makes the story so confusing because you're trying to tie it back in to what you see a couple of years ago and then realise, nope, I ain't meant to be doing this. And you do have to give props to the performances of Rey and Kylo Ren, the latter of which, who I think was brilliant from start to finish. And yes, his character arc of arsehole to good guy is the most Star Wars thing ever. And why we had to end with those 2 kissing after Rey had stabbed him through the chest, I don't know. But even that would have been a fine storyline choice had this been hinted at in episode 8. It just raises more questions like, why is Finn reduced to such a small role? And why is Poe permanently pissed off? I mean, he's so mad now. Because of that, the narrative feels like a step back to what we know rather than carrying on with things that clearly were somewhat divisive. I mean, that is an understatement to say the least, but why even bring Star Wars back if we're not going to try out new things? I enjoy being challenged in a new way, even though, as said, all you need is lightsabers and hard to read writing at the start to make me happy, as I've already said, and as I will repeat here, I'm very happy. I hear da 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 da. I'm like, yes, here we go. It's why I was cool with, oh, here's Luke's X-Wing, and oh man, it's the Death Star. But you'd have to be kidding yourself to not realize that that's there to make some of those who were angry from 2017 smile. But they didn't smile. They never smiled. They just got more mad. And we know why. Because they're never going to be happy until Rey reaches out of the screen into the cinema where they are, drags them into the movie and says, "You are now this hero. You are now the hero." That's the only way you're ever going to get this contingent on board. And believe you me, that will not work for a mass audience. They will all stay away. Even Lando Calrissian's return falls into this character. He can't be in the movie for more than 10 minutes, and while it's great to see him, he may as well have come in wearing a cap that says, "I am here for nostalgia," on the top. And again, nostalgia is great. I love nostalgia, but with everything else, including a dead Han Solo, it's just a little on the nose. And my nose is massive, so I know about noses. Then, of course, we have the reveal that Rey is related to the Emperor, and how that works, I don't know. And sure, I could have missed something, maybe I'm stupid, that's fair, but what is the family tree here? Darth Vader's shocking story made all the sense in the world, as the groundwork had been done in the movies beforehand. But here, it feels a little bit like WWE Raw if you watch wrestling. In WWE Raw, we just do things that sound cool, even though we never planned to do it, so when you see them happening, you're like, well, I can't work out where this has come from. And that's what this felt like. Again, I want to underline that I really did like episode 9 and I enjoyed my time in the cinema, especially because I had a pint of ice cream. And shout out to Cineworld for that heart attack in a cup. But we all have a Star Wars nerd side, and it's hard not to ask these questions. And it does tie up a lot of the loose ends, and it does feel like this trilogy is wrapped up in a nice little package, and I appreciate that. But there's just this overhanging sensation of, that wasn't quite what I was expecting. And then the big hole opens up in your geek brain, and then you're just falling down the road and you can't stop, because that's just what we do. And Twitter is there, social media, you get to moan. So look, there is a lot to love here, especially Rey and Kylo Ren, like I say, but boy howdy does it take you on an interesting ride. And this is before we mention the Knights of Ren, who feel like enemies from a Turtles comic by the time they're killed, or that Richard E. Grant is having secret chats with the Emperor. That happens in one scene. Secret chats, but just deal with it. And if not, flub off. Plus, General Huxley is a mole. It all comes at you so fast, it's hard to let your mind deal with it. You get one nugget of info, and then we're just off to the next nugget of info, even before you processed the prior nugget of info. So I sit somewhere in the middle then, and I get those that are disappointed, and I get those who just want to have fun, as I've said before, and that part is certainly true on my end. I mean, if I was writing it, I would have Kylo Ren just killed everybody and assume all the power in the galaxy. Well, that wouldn't be very Hollywood, although it would be badass. But again, all of this, of course, means controversy runs wild. But that's just Star Wars these days, right? That's what episode 10 should be called. Star Wars Episode 10, it's likely to be controversial. And then you can't be too surprised, because when you get controversy out the other side, Disney can go, well, we told you that was going to happen. You should deal with it. The most interesting thing is, of course, the people behind this are also making the Marvel movies, and the Marvel movies, regardless of what you think about them, have narratives that really make sense and tie into about 7,000 other movies that also have their own narratives. So why we can't do it with Star Wars, I don't know. I guess there's just too much love, dating all the way back, 30 odd years, whenever the first one came out. But that's it. Episode 9 is done. This story arc is dead. We'll see what's next, and I look forward to everybody getting angry once again. Now, please do leave a comment below and get really mad, because that's what we do on the internet when it comes to Star Wars. Or if you just like a nice conversation, that's fine as well. Like, share, and subscribe. I do have a Patreon, like I said, patreon.com/SimonMiller316. What I'd really like you to do is hit and smash that subscribe button. I'm very close to 100,000 subscribers. And because I have no self-worth, I'm going to put my self-worth into a number on the internet. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon.